Where your alma mater, bro? Where that shit? Oh, never mind.
I took a screenshot of Stephanie congratulating a Belen graduate.
I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to hear about it.
Oh shit! Here we go.
Bears beats Battlestar Galactica.
You really adopted the dark. I was born in it.
Sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
Bazinga.
Two in the box. Ready to go. We be fast. They be slow.
Cool.
All right, welcome to the Mt.Geekmore podcast, your favorite podcast where you come to listen to people talk, debate, and argue over their favorite top four Mount Rushmore, if you will, of their favorite pop culture subjects. Today's pop culture subject is the Mount Rushmore of video game weapons. So we're going in depth. We're going what's that word?
Deep cuts.
Deep cut. We're going deep cut on nerd shit right here. So I am Nerd Science. With me, as usual, is David Ulloa.
Howdy.
And Daniel DeBona.
What up, y'all?
And then we got first time, long time, Jeff.
I'm back. I'm a back. I'm a here.
Yeah. Oh man. So yeah, we are all back. I know it's been 2021, hasn't had the same, what do you call it? Smell of death in the air that 2020 had. So we haven't been able to record as often, but I'm glad we're all back now. We are talking about the weapons, our favorite weapons in video games. How did you guys come up with your selections, David?
All right, so I really had to try to limit myself here. So I went with weapons that I wouldn't classify as like a super weapon. So this is something where if there is ammunition is available readily. It's not the sort of thing that you need to like conserve ammo on, this sort of thing, or you can only use it in certain instances. And it's something that's got to be with you for the majority of the game. So like it can't be some sort of, crazy, boss killing weapon that you get right before the end of the game. And then that's it, So those were pretty much my parameters there. So
does that include weapons that get upgraded that kill the boss?
No. So weapons that get upgraded, I kind of left in there. And I think there is one like that on my list. But
I'm pretty sure there's one like that on your list.
Yeah.
I don't know your list.
Yeah.
But I've known you long enough.
But you know my list.
That I know you. I know at least one.
I know number one.
I know the whole list, but I know number one.
Yeah.
So,
We all do.
If it's not number one, you're a pod person, and I don't want to talk to you anymore.
No, I'm actually interested in talking to the pod person. I'm trying to figure out like the wiring of a pod person, and you can let me know.
Yeah, no, but aside from something that can be upgraded throughout the game, this is something that's pretty standard, something that you get. It doesn't have to be right at the beginning of the game, but something that you get, far enough along that you can use it for the bulk of the game. I went with something that was just fun to use. It didn't have to be something monumental. So like, for example, and if you got it on your list, don't say anything, but like the BFG from Doom, I think of as a super weapon. I never use that thing until I get to a fucking cyber demon, and then I just fucking spam the shit out of it. And I deplete my fucking ammo, and that's what I saved it for. So nothing like that is going to show up on my list. It's going to be things that are a little more usable throughout the game.
Okay. DeBona? Oh, I'm sorry, Jeff. I'm sorry, I'm going in the wrong order.
So with me, the moment we decided on the topic, I knew what my number one was. It's arguably one of my favorite weapons in games. What I did was the only real rule was I didn't pick items like lightsabers because we all know lightsabers are freaking fun to play as in Star Wars games, but I don't really consider it a video.
Real weapons. That's the thing. You can't pick real weapons. They have to be things that aren't real. So that makes sense why you wouldn't pick a lightsaber.
But like, you know, with the movies, I the lightsaber, to me, it's a movie weapon. It's not the game weapon.
Yep. Yeah.
I didn't pick things like you're not going to see Metal Gear on my list because I didn't pick giant robots or giant things like that. I literally I picked something that I thought is hysterical, that the fact that whoever designed it is a genius. I picked one that is just absurd, and then my other two are just personal favorites of mine. I didn't try to overthink this, and this was like one of the easier lists for me to do. So yeah.
All right, DeBono.
So my short list was really long, but then when it came down to it, I realized that what I wanted were weapons that were iconic of either a game or an entire franchise. I wanted weapons that if you saw a poster and this weapon is all that was on it and there was a date underneath, you would know what game was coming out. That was how I ended up kind of getting down to what my 4 were. My short list was good. There's a lot of great stuff on my short list. But my 4 are all ones that, like I said, you walk into a GameStop or something and you just see that weapon and a date underneath. You're like, oh shit, I'm ready for that game. I know exactly what that is. You don't got to tell me. Just tell me when it's coming out and I'm down. And so that's what I went with. Like I've got a lot of stuff. It's kind of all over, but every one of them is going to be one that shows up. Not 3 of them are ones that show up in multiple games, but all of them, as soon as you see it, you know exactly where it's from. And if you've ever played video games, I don't have to explain to you what it is.
Right on. I kind of went. So I went with the whole no movie thing. If it's a weapon in the movie, I got that out of the way. And I'll be real, I don't play that many kind of different games. I don't play a lot of first person shooters, and I don't play so a lot of the weapons that, like, whenever you go online and you Google this topic, a lot of the weapons are, I didn't play the games, and I felt, even though I read up on them and they seemed cool, I thought it would be kind of cheesy for me to pick a weapon that I never even played the game in. That'd be kind of cheesy. So I avoided picking any weapon from any game that I haven't personally played, and that eliminated a lot, because even the games that I do play are like sports games, or there's like a cool weapon, but it's not like
Neary's got Ray Lewis on his list.
Well, I didn't want to pick a real killer, an actual killer. I didn't want to pick something that
O.J. Simpson from Tecmo Bowl.
Yeah. I could have picked Bo Jackson for Tecmo Bowl. Like, that was a fucking brutal.
It was a nuke.
But so I didn't anyway. So it became this thing where it was just easy for me to, like, I didn't have a lot of options. That's why I was talking to you guys in the chat, and you guys are like, I got 27 on my list. I started off with 17, and I'm like, I think I have 5. Maybe if I go, and then the more I thought about it, and I'm being honest, the more I thought about it, one of them wasn't a weapon. It was more of a tool, and I was like, "Whoa, I don't."
Is it the cat silencer from Postal that I couldn't do?
I don't even know. Like, you sent me that screenshot. I'm like, "Where the fuck is this from?" Like, I don't even know where that was from.
The game Postal. I guess nobody else had played that game, but yeah, you literally grab a cat and you shove it up its ass into the gun, and it becomes a silencer.
But we said we weren't picking things that were like real, right? That's like
that's a Tuesday in Tuscaloosa.
Jeff and I had like a pretty very, very serious and sober conversation, but I'm like, actually, I believe that is a weapon accessory. And you can't pick that. However, you could pick the AR-15 equipped with a cat silencer.
And that's the thing. Like, most of the games that like the very few first-person shooters that I play would have real-world weapons, and I'm like, I don't want to pick an actual fucking sniper rifle from it's like,
I did that same thing. Like, I wanted it to be something that was unique, not something that I could actually go out and see or maybe buy even.
Right.
Yeah. Well, it depends on what state you're in, but yeah. But yeah. So I have 4 on my list, and maybe 5 if I'm just trying to feel frisky. But 2 of them are from the first franchise, are from the same franchise. I'm sorry. So I'm like, even that, I'm like, oh, that's kind of cheesy, but still, they're fucking cool weapons. So yeah,
fair enough.
I kept it to 1 per franchise, which was really difficult, because a couple of them I was like, damn, I would love to put a couple other weapons on here.
Yeah, I want to. Yeah, okay.
I mean, there's 4 turtles, so you could have just done the mountain.
Right.
Donatello's bow staff. Get the
Neary says that his face turned green.
That is the worst weapon. Like I get so angry at the writers of that. I'm like, you couldn't come up with another weapon? Like the fucking bolt. They just looked in the corner. They're like, what other weapon should we give this guy? And they're like, well, there's a broom over there. Fuck it, give him the stick to the broom. I guess that'd be fine.
As our resident nerd of nerds. I gotta speak up here, man. The bow staff is a legitimate weapon.
I'm not saying it's not a legitimate weapon.
That's what I studied. When you reach a certain when you reach a certain like belt level, you're given the opportunity to like master in a weapon, and that's what I chose because Donatello is my favorite, of course.
Oh, your story.
And yeah. And I got to tell you, man, that thing's fucking badass.
Again, I'm not saying it's not a real weapon. Of course, anything can become a real fucking a hammer. I'm like, I don't want to fucking. Oh man, the hammer from the Hammer Bros. Oh, that would have been dope. Shit. Sorry,
I was gonna say, did you not see Old Boy?
Yeah.
Holy fucking boy.
Tell me a hammer is not a weapon.
No, like I'm saying, it's just like I said, the bow staff I think is I'm not debating whether it's an actual weapon. I just think it's boring when you compare it to katana.
Is it the lamest? Yeah, okay, I'll give you that.
You know. Hold on, give me a second.
That was the best one in the original NES game because you could reach those guys.
That's
the only way you beat the game.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's the only way I was ever able to beat Mecha Turtle.
Well, that's undeniable. It was great. It was almost like a cheating move. It was almost like oh shit, is this legal? Can I keep doing this? Can I just keep hitting him from up here and he does nothing? He can't reach me. Oh, okay, fuck it. Exploiting the flaws.
Raphael's was the worst because it was just like the little
nothing. You got nothing.
Raphael, I learned this when as an adult. Raphael was the one that you use in the water stage. And you just go through the electrical fields and you don't wait for them to like dissipate because of the time. Because if you wait for them, you'll never fucking. So I didn't learn that until as an adult watching YouTube, where you go, you just pick Raphael and you go through the electrical fields and then you disarm the bombs. And then, he's going to die, but it's fucking Raph. So who gives it? Like, it's like who gives a shit? Like, really? All right. We got way nerdy on that one. Let's get it going, bro. What's our number 4s?
With the fourth pick.
Number 4. Round 4.
I'm in no mood for your wives' crack. Let's get it on.
All right, David, hit me with your number 4, bro.
All right, so my number 4, I went back and forth, and then finally when I settled on no super weapons, what I call a super weapon, it made it a little bit easier. So my number 4 is a relatively new weapon, and it's the laser craftwork from Wolfenstein, The New Order, and the New Colossus. So the laser rifles have this is not anything new for the Wolfenstein game series. However, the way that the laser rifle is done in the newest Wolfenstein games is it basically vaporizes you. And the way that the animation is done on screen and the sound that the laser rifle makes is absolutely terrifying. And so this is taking place in a continuity where the Nazis won World War II. And so it's advanced 20 years and we're now in the 1960s. And they've taken all of this like obscene technology that they were developing. And so they're vastly like further advanced to where the United States and England would have been in the 1960s. So with these laser rifles, they're doing crazy things. It's really supposed to be a tool. You're supposed to, they use it to like weld things. They use it to, melt metal and stuff like that. But you get it pretty early on in the game and you realize very quickly, I can use this thing to melt those people. And it is fantastic.
Let me ask you a question. Is this because I've never played this game and 2, I've never played any version of this game, but is this one of those things like one hit, one kill? Like it's immediate?
Pretty much. If you don't get them like right, like center mass, it could take 2 hits. Like you could just like slice off a limb, but more than likely if you hit someone and it's like a regular, because they obviously have different level enemies in the game. So if it's like a regular enemy, you're gonna defeat them typically with one blast.
And that's not a super weapon.
No, it isn't.
This seems like the golden gun type of shit from. Again, I don't know this game. I'm just asking questions. I don't know.
Well, here's why. Because very early on in the game, you start getting enemies that are no longer regular enemies. They're wearing crazy armor that you can start then blasting off, like vaporizing pieces of the armor with this laser rifle. Okay. So you have to become a little bit more tactical with that rifle. And it's such a cool weapon to use. And although it doesn't use conventional ammunition, like there's no clips that you pick up. There are recharge stations that you find throughout the levels, because you're typically in like Nazi bases, Nazi airships, things like that. And so workstations would be found where you can re-energize this thing. So I can see how it could look like a super weapon when you're saying, okay, well, it's like one shot kill for these guys, but these guys are just wearing tactical gear. When you start looking at like some of the other enemies in there, the super soldiers that they have, this is like it would be the equivalent of using like a 22 on like a dude in Call of Duty or something like that. Okay. It's just such a cool design, and the effect of it.
It's very similar to, and I guess don't say it if you got it on your list, but the gun from Dead Space that you could use to dismember the aliens as you went. It's very similar to that if you played Dead Space.
I've never heard that game.
No, Neri, it's terrifying.
Neri's not gonna play that game. Neri would never play that game.
But it is kind of like that. You can be very surgical with it. You can just like aim for the neck and just slice off the neck, or the arm and just sever it at the elbow. It's because of the game's mechanics, it becomes really fun to use that game. And it's not like shooting them with an assault rifle where like the arm explodes, right? Because you have something ballistic going into them, because it like cauterizes the wound, right? It severs the thing. So it's really cool the way that the game's mechanics work with this.
Pretty cool, I guess. I've never seen it. Nobody else has nobody else is talking about it, but all right.
No, it's a great pick. It's not a game that I played at length, but I like the pick. It's just not what I thought of because it's not a game. I've just barely, kind of started it and I know of it, but I haven't really used it much.
Yeah, I haven't played the game. The new one.
It's Laser Kraftwerk.
It's German, and German words are all just like run
like
together.
The band.
Right. So it's Laser Craft with a K and then work with an E instead of an O.
It's spelled Rammstein.
Right.
All right. Let's see here. All right. So that's Dave's number 4. Jeff, what is your? Oh, we got a couple comments real quick. Hold on.
Yeah.
I wanted to get to the comments. I don't. My bad, bro. Andrew Chacon says the show is a good timing. Thank you. And he's
convalescing.
He's recovering at home after surgery.
Hope you well soon, bro.
That's get well soon, Andrew.
Yeah,
and
man.
His picks are the Keyblade Gravity Hammer from Mario Kart. The Mario Kart Red Shell, the spread gun from Contra, and the Master Sword.
Spread gun from Contra. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
I thought that would be David's list, to be honest with you.
I feel like Dave wouldn't have the spread gun. He'd have that one gun that shoots that ball that goes like this.
Fire?
No. It's all about the spread gun, man.
The fire gun.
It's all about the spread gun.
I'm pretty sure I lost a friend or two over fighting over spread guns.
Yeah. I like all of them except for the laser gun. I'm like, oh fuck you, laser! Like I was so mad when the laser. Like,
especially when the bad guys would start ducking.
Yeah,
it was like Donatello's bow staff. You just said over him.
All right, let's go on to number 2. Jeff, what do you got for number ones? I'm sorry,
number 4.
4.
Yeah. So my number 4, it's from a game that I don't know too many people that actually played it, but I actually enjoyed the game a lot. This is my kind of out there pick. My number 4 is Mr. Toots from Red Faction Armageddon.
Red Faction.
So Red Faction originally started off as a first-person shooter, and then it turned into this like third person open world. And Armageddon, I think, was the second of the open world ones. Mr. Toots essentially is a stuffed unicorn that you hold backwards, like you cradle it backwards, and you squeeze him. His face goes and he shoots laser beams made of rainbows out of his ass. And he can destroy buildings. If he hits people, if I remember correctly, he turns them into butterflies.
Yes.
So they explode
Absolutely.
into just butterflies. And it was it was such an OP weapon, and it was sort of that it's had its own commercial.
If I remember correctly, you had to beat Armageddon one time to even get Mr. Toots. Then you got him for another playthrough so you could just go ham on it.
Yeah. Because you'd shoot him, and because in that game you could destroy buildings, so you just point that ass right at those buildings, and it would cause them to crumble like into nothingness.
Yes,
and shooting people, and there it is.
Yeah.
There he is.
Oh, the beauty of doing it with the internet and pictures.
So
there's Mr. Toots.
So and the sound that he would make, like they actually did a commercial just announcing that he was going to be added to the game. And they had a release date for it and everything, and it was just something ridiculous, silly. I love these types of things in games.
You're a big Saints Row fan.
That I was about to say, it's exactly like Saints Row.
Who
like
isn't?
Yeah, like the type of guns and weapons that they would come out with Saints Row. They almost it was between a Saints Row weapon that's going to be an honorable mention or this were kind of my two picks. I love these out of the box kind of things that people, and I love that the ammo, if you put it back, if you look at the ammo thing on the bottom right, they even made a little unicorn head.
Yeah.
so you even got that little unicorn head, but it was just something silly to use. And that game is such a dark game, and it's such a gritty game. And then you've got this unicorn just and shooting light rainbows out of its ass. So I just love I just love it. I know it's not a sexy pick. I know it's not something like
I'm
like a
as
master
turned on as
sword
it can be, brother. I don't think you're talking about.
But I made a list of just weapons that I just find fun, and that's one of them. So
as soon as Neri said he was turned on, I picture Neri wearing a shirt with a unicorn on it that says "Blast me with your rainbow, Daddy."
With a fanny pack.
That's gonna be on sale at Neri's site. What was his name.com?
What was his name.com/unicorn.
It's Pride Month. You could do it. But that's my number. That's my number 4 is Mr. Toots from Red
Dude,
Faction.
that's honestly one that like I honestly did think of it, and then I was like, this is so fucking ridiculous. Maybe it'll come up, but I love it. That's a fun pick, dude. I can't be mad.
All right, Mr. Toots. All right. Let's see here. DeBono, what do you got?
My number 4 is one that is not symbol. It's not a symbol of an entire franchise, but it is a weapon that as soon as you see it, you know exactly what game it comes from. When you turn this game on, it's literally the first thing you see is this weapon on a black screen asking if you want to start a new game. My number 4 is the Buster Sword from Final Fantasy VII.
That's honorable mention for me.
The Buster Sword is not fancy. It's not the coolest looking sword that you get by any stretch of the imagination, but it is Cloud's sword. That is the sword you think of. You stop using the Buster Sword early in the game, but it is the one that when you play the original Final Fantasy VII, before they could change the cutscenes, that's what was always in his hand. Mm-hmm. It's like 6 feet long and like 1.5 feet wide, and it's this image that's burned into my head from when I got my PlayStation and I got that Final Fantasy VII. And yeah, just it's strapped across his back, right? Like that's the image. When you turn on Final Fantasy VII, if you've never played it, the very first thing you see is a screen that's just the sword with one beam of light shining on it. And it's asking if you're going to start a new game or continue. And that's it. This is one of the ones that I wanted to make higher, but like I said, there's nothing really super special about it. It's only got 2 materia slots. You don't upgrade in Final Fantasy VII, so it's not one. It's one. There we go. That's from the remake. Yeah, where you can actually see the materia in it. But just a beast of a weapon.
And if you want to see what
really
it looks like in real life, because apparently it's not as ridiculous as it should be.
Oh yeah,
yeah, and just I mean, it was
for the audio listeners. If you're wondering what we're looking at, go to the fucking YouTube. Check it out. It's there. It's saved on there for you.
It's one of those things that just when you play Final Fantasy VII, that sticks with you. Yeah, you may play it as much as I do, and you know all these other swords that you're always going to get, but that's the one you can always name.
It's the one on the cover. Like I've never played it. I've never played Final Fantasy.
It's the one.
I know from the cover,
you know, nobody who cosplays as Cloud is out there carrying an Ultima weapon. They're all out there carrying Buster swords. They're not using any of the various and sundry things that look cooler. With its 2 materia slots, with its just gunmetal blade, it's stoic. It's amazing looking. Also, the mythos that goes along with the Buster Sword of the fact that it was spoilers. I guess the game's old as hell. I know the remake's only a year old, but the fact that it was passed down to him from his buddy Zach, and it's very important to him because it symbolizes a promise that he is going to keep to his best friend, the person he looked up to his entire time as a soldier. Having that sword symbolizes the fact that when Zach died, he was going to carry on that legacy. There's a lot to it that makes it amazing, but just striking image-wise, you can't go wrong with the Buster Sword.
And people don't know that Zach was actually going to give him his cell phone, but that was too big. So instead, gave him the Buster Sword.
It was too big and blocky.
Too big and blocky. So like, take this and smaller.
The Buster Sword, like I said, it's an honorable mention for me. But it what I always fascinated me about the Buster Sword was even in those cutscenes where he's fighting Sephiroth. Like Sephiroth has this just elegant long katana, you know, and
Mass Immune.
Yeah, and you've got this guy Cloud's wielding this Buster Sword like if it's a dagger. Like
yeah,
they're throwing it around all over the place. He's able to keep up with him. He's, you know, and I loved that visual of seeing him. And then when he's riding on a motorcycle with it, like on the hanging, he's holding it like if it's not on the back, I think he would ride the motorcycle holding it. Like,
it would actually drag the ground, like, right. and then he'd pull it over. Yeah, I mean, it's just it's one of those things. It's unescapable. Like I said, it's not representative of Final Fantasy franchise as a whole. I mean, it's only in that one game, but it very heavily influenced the way that swords and things were going to look from Final Fantasy VII on. When you go forward from Final Fantasy VII, there's always a character that's got one big ass sword, and it all goes back to Cloud starting Final Fantasy VII with the Buster Sword.
I love the pick.
Solid pick, man. Solid pick. I mean, again, I don't even know the game. I've never played the game, but I know that sword, so that's pretty iconic. Let me see here. All right, time to pick my number 4, I guess. You know what? Since we already talked about it, I was gonna put this higher, but I'll go with the spread gun from Contra. It was on my list already.
It's a solid pick, man.
It's a good. I honestly didn't think about it till Andrew's thing popped up, but damn, that's a good pick.
It was legit like in contention for 3 or 2, and I was like, and then we started just talking about it so much. I was like, fuck it, who cares?
I would hate when you like jump and you thought that you were gonna clear something and you'd ended up getting a different.
I'm telling you. It was Oh, I'm sorry. That was the fucking timer. Where are we at? Sorry about that, guys.
Also, we got a comment.
All right, we heard you. We got a comment.
Suarez.
Oh, Suarez gave his list, saying from 4 to 1, he put the Batarang. I guess 3, he put the Blades of Chaos. 2, the Master Sword, and 1 Halo
2 pistol. The only reason I didn't pick the pistol from Halo is because it's just a regular gun. Yes, it's ridiculously OP to be a starting weapon, and you can absolutely beat the entire game with it, but it's just a regular gun, so I didn't pick it.
All right. So yeah, the spread gun was my number 4. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, the only problem with the spread gun is that it would sometimes unlock other guns that you didn't even care about shooting down. You're like, no, I got the spread gun. I don't like if I could have it where like once I get the spread gun, don't send me any more options. That's it. I'm fucking good. Sometimes you're shooting everything and the fucking little bubble comes down and sure enough you get the laser and you're like, oh no, not the laser. Jeez.
Not the laser.
Fucking laser was the worst. The only time I was okay with the lasers in those levels where you were playing in the tunnel.
The tunnel, because when you had to hit the little balls, that was the best thing to use.
That was fine. But the spread gun, I always called it the spreader. That's what I never called it the spread gun. I always called it get the spreader. That's what I called it. And then sometimes some of my cousins would call it the shotgun. And I'm like,
I
okay.
always, for the longest time, I always called it the shotgun. I thought
Yeah.
that was what the S stood for, was shotgun.
Well,
It was
it's kind of like birdshot.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me it was interchangeable in our household because in our house we called it the spreader, but our cousins that often came over called it the shotgun, and we never argued. We were like, yeah, get whatever the fuck, just get the S, man.
the
All right,
S,
so
bro.
our number 4s were the laser craft work from Wolfenstein, Mr. Toots from Red Faction Armageddon, Buster Sword from Final Fantasy VII, and the spread gun from Contra. That is our number 4s. Let's move on.
Round 3.
3 is a magic number. Yes, it is.
All right, number 3s. Dave, what do you got for number 3, man?
All right, so this is one where I was torn between two weapons from the same series, and they were not super weapons by any stretch of the imagination. And I ended up going with the super shotgun from Doom 2, Doom 3.
You're saying
Pretty
that's
much-
not a super weapon?
Pretty much from every Doom game after Doom 2. You have a regular shotgun in the first Doom, which carries through most of them, but then you get a double barrel shotgun, which they call the super shotgun in Doom 2. And the thing is one of the most satisfying weapons to use in any game. And even though it is extremely dangerous to do so, trying to line up the enemies, because I mean you have to constantly be moving in Doom, or like your life depends upon it, right? But if you can line up enemies perfectly, you can just with one blast of that super shotgun take out a whole line of imps, of cacodemons, and it's just like, what the fuck did I just do? There's a whole lot of imp wives that are going to be crying to their children tonight.
A whole lot of imp kids with no daddies.
All right, Anakin.
Yeah. Yeah, like imps went down with one fucking shot. I mean, you could legitimately take down a cyber demon with a super shotgun if you were good enough at strafing and not have to worry about it.
This
Because
is like a second weapon that could take out a lot of things at one time that you're calling a non-super weapon.
That has the name super in the word super in the title.
But that's it. It's just a shotgun. It's a double barrel shotgun. There's nothing particularly fancy about it. The ammunition is aplenty. Yeah, and that's one of the things that I love about the super shotgun is that when I start running low on the ammo for the super shotgun, I'll just switch to the regular shotgun for like a little bit to conserve until I find another like cache of shotgun shells, and then it's back to just blowing your fucking head off with the super shotgun. And you misunderstand me if for those of you that haven't really played Doom all that much, it's not a super weapon by any stretch of the imagination. It's going to take care of like your lower tier enemies in one shotgun blast. Everything else is going to take a couple different blasts, and you also have to be very close for it to be effective. It is like a shotgun. Otherwise, I mean, your fucking little, pea shooter is going to be more effective than the super shotgun. So it's a gun that promotes dangerous play because you need to get up close and personal to these things, which is the way I like to play.
I like thinking about it like that.
Yeah, I love playing Doom this way, where it's like I'm getting as close, like I can smell the hell off these demons. That's how close I got to get to use the super shotgun.
Love the smell of brimstone in the morning.
The joke here is for me to be like, you can smell my in-laws' house, but it's just the funny thing to say. I love my in-laws.
Yeah, man, the super shotgun. It's nothing more than a double barrel shotgun, but it's so satisfying. Your whole controller fucking rumbles. You feel like you have Parkinson's. It's amazing.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh my God.
This is an episode we get canceled on, folks.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I love you, Michael J. Fox.
He does, though. He does, Michael J.
Yeah,
Fox.
yeah.
We know you listen, and he really does.
Yeah, he does. I got fan mail.
Jeff, what do you got for your number? What do you got for your number
3?
3.
Yeah. So I'm all about appreciating some ingenuity. And I'm a huge fan of the series, and I want to preface this, which I never really use this gun too much unless I wanted to just dick around. But my number 3 is the Fat Man from Fallout.
Mm.
There's something about just
such a spectacular pick.
It's like just something about a device that just allows you to walk around the wasteland shooting miniature nukes to people and not suffer any consequences from this action.
And the fact that all it really is a slingshot.
It looks like a potato gun.
Yeah.
It looks like a potato gun that's just not closed the whole way.
And like when you fire it, you literally hear dunk because it's just like is a string.
And
Just shoots it off.
It didn't have a good range either, so you were literally in the line of fire every time. And I know that people would do modifications online where they could shoot 6 nukes at one time.
And there was a unique one called the experimental Merv that could fire 8 at once.
Yeah. So you could literally
just make sure that you have something to take away those rads right away.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just to me this is again, it's not an iconic weapon by any means or anything like that, but look at it. There it is.
Man.
But it's a pressure. You see, it's a pressurized slingshot that shoots baby nukes. Like it's ridiculous. Like there's not a whole lot to say about it. And that talk about being able to do maximum damage. I mean, you're shooting a nuke at things. So the claws, black claws,
death claws.
It's a baby nuke.
So. And what's interesting about Fallout, the balance of Fallout is that you can only carry so much in weight, and so while that was an amazing weapon, it was so heavy that you couldn't just keep it with you at all times, just in case.
Right.
You had to know where you were going and have a plan for what you were going to do with that thing, or else it wasn't worth carrying around because it would limit how the other stuff that you could carry.
Correct.
I found myself so often doing a mission or whatever, and then being like, "Fuck, I need the Fat Man," and then trekking my ass all the way back to my house, fucking getting the Fat Man, and then trekking my way all the way back,
and then stopping a solid 100 yards short of where I was going and just bombs away.
Yeah. And what I always loved about it, and I guess it's the reason why they existed, is like you would just find these mini nukes like in the most random place. Oh, look, somebody did a miniature of it. That's awesome. You'd find those mini nukes like in the most random places.
There'd be like a statue just holding one.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, it's a little girl's room, and there's just a fucking mini nuke as
they put a shade on it and called it a lamp.
Yeah. So it was one of those things that without that gun, I don't think we'd get those nice little things of finding these things just in random places that I appreciated. I can appreciate these guys were like, man, let's just make, they had hunting rifles and pistols and stuff like that. And, they even had a stick with poop on it. That was a weapon. But they're like, hey, let's just have something that launches mini nukes.
Love it.
There must be a way to take care of an entire fleet, an entire platoon of Brotherhood.
Yeah. Exactly.
So yeah, that's my number 3 is the Fat Man from it was first introduced, I think, in Fallout 3.
Fallout 3, yeah.
All right, so we got the what was it, the Fat Man? Fat Man. By the way, great movie, Fat Man. Really enjoyed it.
Haven't seen it yet, but I do want to.
It's somewhere for free. I think it's Hulu or
Amazon. I think
Amazon.
Amazon.
That's where Nick Cage's Santa Claus.
Mel Gibson.
Mel Gibson. Santa Claus. Sorry, excuse me.
All right, Fat Man, and it's from what game?
Fallout 3.
The Fallout series. Yeah.
Fallout boys. All right. Bono, what do you got for your number 3?
My number 3 is one that is actually the very first weapon that you have in the game. It is one that you keep with you the entire time. I have never been more excited to play a video game with a weapon that I've never seen before than the first time I got my hands on this one. It is the MK2 Lancer Assault Rifle from Gears of War.
Table.
Okay. Kind of saw it coming.
I appreciate that you said MK2. You gave the full name.
Yes.
MK2 what?
Lancer Assault Rifle.
I was hoping somebody else had this.
But it's tabled, so we'll get back to it.
Such a sexy fucking gun.
Oh my god.
Rifle. Answer to Google doesn't know what you're talking about, by the way.
Just type in Lancer Gears of War and it will.
Yeah.
Oh, I put Lander.
Oh, Lancer.
No.
That might do it.
That might.
All right. So that's the MK2 Lancer assault. Rifle. Sorry, guys. Gotta write this down. And from what game?
Gears of War.
Gears of War. And I gotta spell the whole thing out because since I don't play that game, I would not know.
So GOW means
I know.
nothing.
I know what I've seen GOW, but I'm like, all right. My number 3 is the weapon that you start off a game in a franchise which I adore, which took me a while to actually get into. Like, I didn't know how I felt when I realized that in this installment of the franchise they changed the weapon on you, and I was like, oh, okay. And then it took me a little bit, and then I fell in love with this weapon.
I know what this is,
and it's the Leviathan axe from God of War.
When we started making this list, my whole thought process was which one of these were you going to pick? Mm-hmm. So the Leviathan axe is a solid pick, man.
Yes.
The night is young, sir.
Well,
the answer is yes. So the Leviathan axe is a fucking great weapon. The fact that you could call it back to yourself, it just, it's so fucking great. When you start what's that word, enhancing the weapon, and you start going, like, you could do fire or ice with it, and it's just, first of all, God of War specifically, that installment of God of War is my favorite video game franchise, and God of War, that specific installment, is my favorite video game of all time. So those two things make it really really difficult for me not to pick the Leviathan axe. It's so fucking amazing. The way it's used cinematically, it's fucking brilliant. It's beautiful. It's dangerous. It's
It's satisfying. Like whenever you that sound it makes whenever you call it back, and and
the fact that when you're caught, there are times where you're trying to solve a puzzle, that calling it back is actually what does the thing that you needed to do. So like if you need to untie your bridge and you overpass it, but then coming back, it will fucking hit the rope that unties the bridge. You go, okay, it's not just a motionless thing.
Well, you can use that in combat as well. I don't know how many times I would throw something and then move over and call it back to me after moving over, so it hit another guy and stagger him.
Yeah,
it was really ended up being a useful weapon that I wasn't totally sold on at the beginning of the game, but became more and more satisfying the better I became with it.
Yeah, and the only reason I wasn't sold on it from the beginning was because of just like being a creature of habit. I'm like, well, this is not the weapon that I'm used to. This is not the stuff that I've fallen in love with throughout the years. So like that was the only reason. I never disliked the weapon itself as a weapon. I just disliked. It took me a minute to warm up to it, only in the sense of it's not my usual. It's not what I'm used to. So that was it. That was the only reason why. But that's it. That's my number 3. Sorry about that, guys. Let me drag this over here. All right. So that's my number 3. So for number 3s, we have the super shotgun from Doom 2 and forward and beyond, the Fat Man from Fallout, the MK2 Lancer assault rifle from Gears of War, and the Leviathan axe from God of War.
We also have another comment here from Andrew.
Yeah, I saw that. So Andrew puts more picks. He puts Doom 1 Chaos mode with the shotgun is dangerously fun.
We like to play the game dangerous.
Let's, like Darkwing.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
All right, let's go on with our number 2s.
Round 2.
Dose, the sequel to Uno.
All right, number 2. Dave, what do you got for your deuce?
So I went back and forth on again on two very like standard weapons, which are really iconic from this franchise, and I ended up going with the less iconic one, but the arguably more fun one. And I think of my entire list, this is the most fun weapon on there, and it's the 0-point energy gun or the gravity gun.
The gravity gun from Half-Life 2.
From Half-Life 2 and Half-Life 2 Episode 1 and Half-Life 2 Episode 2.
Honorable mention.
And Half-Life 2 Alex, though I haven't played that one. That gun is... It came at such a perfect time in video gaming because I had never, at least me personally, had never played a game up until Half-Life 2 where physics played a real role in the game. You had games that, obviously things would fall, things would move, but generally they just moved as far as you pushed them.
This was Fallout, you said?
Half-Life.
Half-Life, I'm sorry.
This was the first time where physics actually mattered in a game, where things moved realistically. At least it was the first game I played where it felt that way. And to have a gun that actually uses the physics in the game was absolutely mind-boggling. So the gun could do a number of things. It could either pick up something and move it around relatively close to it, right? But it had to be something that was fairly small in size until it got there. It is, yeah. Until it got upgraded later. It could also use like a force push to propel almost anything infinitely backwards. Basically until it hit something and just like exploded everywhere. You can also use those two powers together, which was really cool. So you could pick up like that, tank of gasoline and find a group of enemies like, you're going to fucking die. And then just fucking throw it at them. And they would, become a burning ball of goodness. It was so much fun. Later in the game, it becomes supercharged with negative energy. And you can actually, almost like Gambit, charge up the things that you're holding in place and then launch those things at everything else. And then those things explode in a ball of amazingness. It's so much fun to use. And I think that that's really the key to this weapon. On top of the fact that there's no ammo because it's like a self-replicating energy that it has inside of it. So you never have to worry about running out of ammunition. It's just the sort of thing where it's like, okay, well, I'm going to take out this gravity gun now, and I'm going to launch this head crab at you. And and you're going to have a really bad day. Right? There you go. Yeah.
That guy's gonna have a really shitty moment.
So, Jeff, before I say, do you, can I talk about Half-Life 2 freely, or am I going to ruin anything on your? Okay, good. So, arguably, okay, let's say arguably, right, the iconic weapon from Half-Life is the crowbar, but the gravity gun is definitely the one that's more fun. The crowbar would definitely be the iconic one, but the gravity gun is the one that makes gameplay more enjoyable.
So I went back and forth between the crowbar and the gravity gun, because the crowbar is the very first weapon you get in Half-Life, and it stays with you. I mean, you lose it and you get another one and all that stuff, but I mean, the crowbar is synonymous with Gordon Freeman, the way that a Walther PPK is synonymous with James Bond, right? And just like I was really considering the chainsaw from Doom.
Yeah,
which I think is probably even more iconic than the super shotgun. But which one
doesn't have the word super in front of it? So.
Right.
It was super chainsaw. You go,
but it's not a super weapon though.
But which one is more fun to use? Which one is more satisfying to use? I'm not the Joker bludgeoning Robin to death, so therefore it's gonna be the gravity gun.
Too soon, bro.
Yeah, I know.
Well, you know, it's funny because I almost picked, and I don't know nobody's gonna pick this, but I almost picked a crowbar of sorts. I guess from a totally different game, had nothing to do with. I've never played Half-Life, but I almost picked
It's like tables
Yeah,
or Cabal. Yeah.
Cabal's weapon, which apparently I looked it up just now, and it's a sword.
Yes.
I was like,
It is, yeah.
That's
The hook sword.
that looks like a crowbar.
Hook swords.
Yeah, it's hook swords. I mean, you know, crowbar, hook sword.
Crowbar adjacent.
Yeah. It's like if a crowbar and a sword met and fucked and had a one-night stand, and they're like, "This is what you get." Kind of sadistic. That's a real thing, right? Am I wrong in that? That actually exists?
I
Or is that-
believe
yeah,
the
those
hook
hook
sword
swords
has
are real.
martial arts origins.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Shaolin monks used to use hook swords.
pretty fucking sadistic. Gotta say, I'm not judging anybody specifically or any group of people. I'm just saying to come up with a weapon that's like, I want to cut you, but I also want to pull you fucking in and then cut you again. Like, Jesus Christ, guy.
When you get to the next level of a belt, you train in the hook swords.
And the hook
Like
sword.
the, it's the
Because that's
pole,
it goes
and then
down.
it's the hook sword.
I can just imagine young Dave going.
And there's no in between. There's no in between either. You go right from bow staff to hook sword.
swords.
You know what's worrisome is that the young Dave. I could just picture him, young Dave, going like, "You can pick any weapon you want," and he looks at the hook swords and goes, "Nah, give me that bow staff right there." So like the broom. You want the okay? Yeah, we'll give you the
We didn't even think that was an option. The janitor left that, but I got you.
I guess.
That's even better than what I was gonna say. I'm not even gonna say it now.
All right. So, that's your number 2, correct?
Yep.
Is the gravity gun.
Mm-hmm.
All right, gravity gun. I don't know why I try to put gun and my autocorrect changes it to hun. Like
Nice.
gravity hun.
I'm not trying to say duck, Apple.
Ever. I've never said duck you. What the fuck?
Yeah.
All right.
I've never used the word ducking.
Nah, man. So gravity gun from Half-Life, was it?
Half-Life.
Yes, Half-Life.
Half-Life. 2.
Half-Life 2 specifically.
All right. Jeff, what do you got for your number 2, man?
My number 2 is the hook. My number 2. My number 2 is probably going to be tabled by Neri. It's the Blades of Chaos from God of War. No? Okay.
I got you. Yeah, no, of course. Table.
Well, here we go. I'll just go ahead and keep the table train rolling then, because my number 2 is the Master Sword from Legend of Zelda.
Tabled.
There it is.
Get out of here.
I know this is a huge surprise to everyone.
You know, it would have been funny if Dave's like, no.
Says the man with the Master Sword
Yeah.
statue right here.
It would have been
his
great.
left shoulder.
I wish Dave would have been like, no. I picked the bow.
You go ahead. I picked
Dave's like, I picked
bomb with the cartoon
I picked bomb.
produced.
It was young Link's boomerang. You damn mooks.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic, man. Master Sword got tabled. Hold on, let me write this down because shit moved so quickly. Chains of Chaos. GOW, and then Master Sword.
Blades of Chaos, you put, right? Or Chains of Chaos?
Oh, I put blades, but I put chains.
Blades. It's Blades of Chaos.
Oh wow, yeah. You know it's funny. You Google Chains of Chaos, and all the images come up.
Really?
Yeah. I swear to God, they're like.
Well, I guess because it does have the chains on. We'll talk
Blades
about it.
of Chaos. No, but you're right. It is blades, but I just for some reason Google like I shared. Yeah, I'll share the screen. It says Chains of Chaos, and everything is there's no like. Did you?
Well,
could
what
you
would
have
you
meant
call those
something
chains?
else? They're like, no.
What would you call those chains? They're not the chains of like happiness.
Yeah. I mean, but also
The chains of tranquility that hold
Is that not the most metal band name though?
Yeah, but it's also not showing me just a change. It's not just showing me the change in the Google image search. It's literally just showing blades.
I'm gonna start a deathcore band called Chains of Tranquility, though.
I like it.
Are you choosing Master Sword from Zelda 2?
Just from the Zelda franchise, bro.
This fucking guy.
This.
The worst.
Not
game.
on.
Yeah.
Actually, the Master Sword does not appear until A Link to the
Link's
Past,
Awake?
so that would be inadequate, sir.
I like the fact that you put that voice to disguise your real feelings. And
Yeah.
Bro,
Guys,
use your
just so you
voice.
know.
We know it's what you wanted to
Yeah.
say.
He's like, guys,
No,
just so you know,
I must go into Professor Frink when.
Yeah, no,
when that
no.
happens.
It's not me who's saying that. It's the character.
I don't want you guys.
I'm not really that pedantic. I'm just saying the character is.
I don't want you guys to think I'm a fucking nerd or anything. So I'm gonna use this voice.
Hulk Hogan's got an 8-inch dick. Terry Bollea, not so much.
Not so much.
Hulk Hogan's racist. Terry, not racist. Which one would be worse? Like if you had to pick
No, I honestly think the
racist.
defense is that Terry's racist, but like Hulk isn't, right?
Yeah.
So we can put him back in the Hall
Only
of
one
Fame.
of those two actually says the N-word when they're listening to hip hop.
Fair point.
All right. So let's go on to our number one. Oh, sorry,
Honorable
number twos. I'm sorry. My number two. Number two is our gravity gun from Half-Life.
Wait, did you give your number 2, Neri?
Oh, I didn't even give my number 2. I'm sorry. My number 2 is the red shell from every Mario Kart in existence. I legit love that weapon. It's a shame that in the later versions of the game, at least from what I've noticed, is that when you're in the lead, they no longer give you cool weapons.
It's always been that way. The game's always been rubber banded. It got heavier by Double Dash on the cube, but to an extent, the game has always been rubber banded to make it more competitive.
Yeah. But once I'm number 1, I want to get more red shells just to fuck.
Nope. You get banana peels and you get coins.
You get
bro.
coins. It's like,
Yeah, but you hold on to the banana peel behind you, so when it hits you with the
legit.
thing.
Oh, legit. Yeah, that's a dip. But I really want to fuck people. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I would love to be number 1 and then get the bullet just so I could fuck up whoever else is coming behind
Just
me.
lap Toad and give him the old fuck you.
Yeah.
Like, meh.
But the red shell is my number 2 pick. Mario Kart.
I love how surgical like people can be with the red shell. Like, yeah, you can just fire it from a distance, but people like get right up on you to get the maximum ability to pass you and gain ground on you before they fire it.
I will fucking use it when somebody's about to turn or while they're turning to fucking make them stumble even more.
Get that full spin all the way into the dirt.
Yeah. Let's, and God, let you jump, let you be in one of those lava levels where you have to jump and there's a gap in between. I'll use it then so you fall in the fucking hole, man. I take no prisoners when I come.
I ain't letting you throw sparks in my house, son.
Yeah. My daughter's like, can you ever let us win? I'm like, bro, oh my God, I've been waiting.
First off, I wake up and I piss excellence.
Yeah.
You got to earn that shit, man.
Yeah. I've been doing this for 30 years. Get in line, Junior. Fucking get back there.
Uno and Mario Kart have taught my daughter more about being competitive than anything else I could ever do.
Legit. All right, so give me a second here. All right, let's go. Oh, honorable mentions. What are our honorable mentions, fellas?
All right, so
let's get weird.
My honorable mentions are the portal gun from Portal.
Same here.
It is, it's such a cool weapon. Your boots from Super Mario Brothers.
Hey.
It is the very first video game weapon I ever used, and one that is stuck with me.
Wait. You use the boots before you use the fireball?
Yeah, because you can jump on a Goomba as soon as the game starts.
But Mario 1 has fireballs.
But as soon as the game starts, the very first thing you can do is jump on a Goomba. Therefore, you would do it first.
Oh, you're talking about the boot. Okay, I'm thinking about the actual green boot from Mario Brothers 3.
Oh, with the little
green stocking.
With the wind-up key?
I'm talking about like the brown work boots that Mario wears.
Yeah. You talking his Air Force Ones.
He's talking about just a pair of Carhartts.
Yeah. Yeah. I like to think he's a Red Wing guy.
Okay. Well, fair enough.
He's a plumber, you know, he's working. The Shrink Ray from Duke Nukem 3D, shrinking guys down to like micro machine size, and then once again using your boot to just stomp on them and smear them on the floor is just fantastic. And one of my personal favorite weapons, like it was like a missed it by that much sort of thing.
Missed it by that much.
Thank you, sir. The Vampire Killer from Castlevania.
Oh,
The
yeah.
whip that pretty much every Belmont uses
And
is so cool.
That was my alternate number 4.
Okay, so the reason that's an honorable mention to me as well, but that's a tool because we talked about this when it came to movie props, and we were like, that's not a prop, that's a tool, right? Remember we talked about this when we were talking about Indiana Jones and the props, and I thought it was a weapon because as I never knew it as anything else, but they're like, no, it's a tool. You actually fucking move cattle with it, and I was like, no, you kill vampires with it. What the fuck are you talking about? I was so confused. What? I don't know. You fucking kill vampires.
That's a little unrealistic, sir. You kill vampires with it.
Yeah,
exactly. Calm down.
Where
talking about crowbars too. So
where I think there's a difference is where Indy's whip is an actual tool designed to be used as a bullwhip, right? He actually, when you go back and you watch these movies, he very infrequently uses it as a weapon. He uses it as a tool usually.
Which I never understood that. You could literally there's guys all around you. Use the whip, man. Use the
whip. They'll keep their distance.
Yeah.
If Michelangelo could use a yo-yo, you could use a whip.
Or sausages. The dude used sausages.
The combat cold cuts. That's the next belt.
So
bow staff, sword, sausages.
So the vampire killer from Castlevania is specifically designed to kill vampires.
You don't say.
Right. So it is not
They
designed.
named it properly. Okay.
It is it's not designed as a tool. I don't recall ever using it to swing from one place to another.
Not in Castlevania. No.
Yeah, not in Castlevania. So you never even use it as a tool. You only ever use it as a weapon.
Wait. What game am I thinking about? Is that not Castlevania? Like I don't know which version where you could swing off the hooks and then swing.
So there was an Indiana Jones game for Super Nintendo.
Oh, I never played that shit. I never played that.
Lego Indiana Jones.
That game was fucking amazing. So
I'm not saying it wasn't. I'm saying as a kid, I wasn't a fan of that movie franchise, so I would never have gotten that game. That would never have happened to me.
Did you ever play the Super Star Wars series? Well, you weren't a fan of that either, right?
No, I wasn't a fan of that either. So like that's my whole point. When I'm like, what game am I thinking about? Where you get a whip and you swing to the next platform.
Earthworm Jim. But you were actually using Jim.
But it was actually Jim himself. Yeah.
I don't know.
I consider using Earthworm Jim, but I'm like, no, it's him. He's not he's just he's an earthworm.
All right. Any more honorable mentions?
Save some.
The Wabberjack from Skyrim, given to you by the Daedric god Sheogorath. He's the god of chaos. So it's just a staff that you use to like point at people, and like it does something different every time. So sometimes it launches fireballs, and sometimes it launches lightning, and sometimes it turns them into like a crab, and then sometimes it turns them into a raging asshole who can actually kill you. So like it's chaotic. It's really, really fucking cool.
Dave, Jeff, what do you got?
Okay. So I've got the hidden blades from Assassin's Creed. I've got the the pepper from Burger Time.
Yes.
More pepper.
Going back to what we were talking about Saints Row, I was stuck between 3 of them because there's the penetrator, the dubstep gun, but I went with the Shark-O-Matic, where you literally shoot it at somebody, it covers them in chum, you hear rumbling, and then a shark comes from the ground wherever they're at and eats them. This one, Neri and Daniel, I don't know if Dave played this game, but I think Debona and Neri might know this one. I put a baseball bat, and I didn't put it from Earthbound. I put it from In the Hands of Pablo Sanchez in Backyard Baseball. That was a weapon, sir. That man murdered things with that weapon.
Fantastic.
And then my last one's Magikarp because he's useless. Splash attack. It's not very effective. That's Magikarp. Yeah.
All right. I've got the Mega Buster from Mega Man. Vega's Claw from Street Fighter.
Nice.
Another one.
Nice.
Super iconic.
I can't think of Vega's Claw without thinking of that skit that Pete Holmes did where he's interviewing the Street Fighter people. and he interviews Vega and it's Tom Hiddleston.
Yes.
Is Vega. That every time when I saw that, I just thought of him doing my Klaus.
Do Chun-Li's thighs count as registered weapons?
Brother, they count as something. The Soul Edge from the Soul Edge Soul Calibur series.
Yes, I fucking love that series.
The Keyblade
And
from
sword.
Kingdom Hearts. One that's, it is a tool, but it's a weapon that you start the game with that you can use the entire game. The Monkey Wrench from BioShock, or it's a pipe wrench, I suppose, is more accurate. And one that is extremely underlooked that people don't realize in the game Siphon Filter, you had a taser that the programmers screwed up and they didn't put any range on. So and it had unlimited ammo, and you could hit somebody literally across the entire map, and then you could just hold the button down until they caught fire. You could beat the entire game using nothing but the taser playing Siphon Filter. So I've got the Siphon Filter taser and the Cerebral Bore from Turok 2.
Oh, yes.
Turok was such a good game, bro.
Oh, my God. And the
game.
Cerebral Bore gave me nightmares.
Siphon Filter was too. There were a lot of really good games that came out around that time. That
Siphon Filter was a game limited only by its graphic ability, like an HD remaster of Siphon Filter or like a frame off rebuild of Siphon Filter would be gangbusters.
And the second one,
yes,
not as good as the first, but still good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. My honorable mentions are Scorpion's Spear. And I almost put that in instead of the Leviathan Axe. And the only reason I didn't is because you can't really control it much more than just straightforward. And I was like,
That's why I didn't pick it too.
Yeah. There's the Bionic Arm from Bionic Commando.
Oh, so good.
I didn't even think of that. Good.
So the Bionic Arm and the original Bionic Commando, it was a tool.
Yeah.
Right. But in the Bionic Commando, like 2008 game, what year?
It was like that third person one.
That one, it was a weapon where you could choke motherfuckers. You could throw them. It became a weapon. So that was my roundabout. But if I was being completely honest with myself, whenever I think of Bionic Commando, I think about the 8-bit version, which is a game that I adore to this day.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I didn't put it on there, because it's not really a weapon in the game that I specifically think of. And then Michelangelo's nunchucks in Ninja Turtles. The reason why I allowed it in my, as far as honorable mentions, is because I knew the Turtles, it was simultaneous from the cartoon and the video game. To me, those things, I don't remember which one was introduced first in my life, because both of those things seem to be simultaneous in my life. If I'm being honest, the arcade version before the NES version.
Hell yeah.
I don't remember. I very clearly remember watching it as a child, the cartoons, and at the same age going to the arcades and watching it in the arcade. So I don't know which one for me was introduced first. Either way, Michelangelo's nunchucks, because I always envision myself as a fellow chucker.
Like in the movie Sidekicks.
Oh man, that movie was great. And then he killed him.
Yo, that movie, it holds up as being just fun.
I haven't seen that movie in a long time. There's nowhere to watch it digitally. But I enjoyed that movie growing up a lot.
So the producers left you hanging. Sorry, what? Too soon?
It left me with a boner. You know that reference? You know that reference? Boner from Growing Pains died the same way.
Oh Jesus!
Oh, I thought you were gonna go. I thought you were going with
auto asphyxiation.
Yeah,
yeah,
autoerotic asphyxiation.
Yeah. No, but I just love the fact that the character's name was Boner.
What's with martial artists in television and film hanging themselves with boner?
No. Yeah, what are you gonna do,
man? When you beat people up for fun, it takes a lot to get off. I guess I don't.
All right, let's go with our number ones.
Round 1. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back.
Do it! Do it! Come on!
Andrew has also chimed in with honorable mention, saying the sticky grenade from Halo 3, Scorpion's Kunai. I'm assuming that's a spear.
It is.
It's a knife on a rope. It's not really a spear. Yeah.
Well, not in the movie, sir. In the movie,
No, it was a
It
knife
came
in the
out of his
movie.
hand
in
and
the movie, it
talked.
came out of his hand and it talked and it grabbed your soul.
It
I'm
looked
trying
like one of the robots from Mystery Science Theater 3000.
uh, I was totally confused as a child watching that movie, going like, "Am I okay with this? That's not a that." Okay, I guess. And the chainsaw from Gears of War is what Andrew was talking about. All right, number ones, Dave. Hit me with your number one, brother.
My number one is Scrooge McDuck's crane from the DuckTales game.
You mean the cane? Do you mean the cane?
The cane. Yeah,
Okay.
He means
I
that big ass bird that he carried around.
I can't remember which one was introduced to me first, the game or the TV show. So
Pretty sure it was a TV show.
well,
Oh,
I
you're
mean,
younger. No, you're younger than me, so you might, yeah, it might be good.
yeah, no, it's obviously the Master Sword. This was
He had it ready.
yeah, and that one right there. That's the first Master Sword I always think of. Although the Breath of the Wild version that you showed first is absolutely gorgeous. The art in that game is incredible, and that is the statue that I have up here is of that Master Sword. I from the time that I'm like old enough to remember, I have been lusting after the sword in the Legend of Zelda, and even though the sword in Zelda 1 and Zelda 2 is not the Master Sword, they behave just like the Master Sword. The lore of the sword is what comes in A Link to the Past.
I like the fact that you were starting to sound like you began starting like Goodfellas, like ever since I can remember. I've always wanted to have
Be a
a
wise
sword.
guy.
But yeah, the lore you were saying.
Yeah, so the lore of the sword, it making itself available to one who is worthy, and the challenges that you need to go through to get the sword. It appealed to me as like an uber nerd, someone who had read fantasy novels from the time that he was able to read. This kind of like really spoke to me. The unassuming kid who really didn't have much going for him. All of a sudden, here's this great power that's going to be thrust into your hands, and as I identified with that. I wanted to have that, and then the fact that it was a sword. Like, how cool are swords? Everyone loves a sword.
No,
right?
not David. David wants a bow staff.
And sausages.
Dave, you could pick a sword now in real life. No, Sensei. Sifu, please.
Sifu, please.
Please, I just want the stick, sir.
I did study Chinese martial arts, so it was Sifu.
Yeah, I know.
So that is what I said.
Yeah.
Sifu, please.
Sifu, please.
The broom, if you will.
I need a stick. Dave, those are just sticks to hold up the swords. No. I just want the stick, sir.
Where you get the Master Sword, how you get it, all of that changes subtly throughout the game series. Its appearance changes a little bit.
Quick question, because I've only played a handful of Zelda games, and I've loved the ones that I've played, but there are some that I didn't play. Do you get the is there a game where you get the Master Sword anywhere but a forest?
Yeah, in Ocarina of Time, you get it in the Temple of Time,
which
is in the forest.
No, it's in Hyrule.
Okay,
Town.
because I've got it. I've actually played Ocarina of Time, just not in decades. So I don't remember.
And part of what makes it so cool in Ocarina of Time is the Master Sword is literally the key between traveling back and forth between time, which becomes such a key element of the game.
Yeah, the sword takes on different abilities and different powers in different games. Personally, I think that the one that has the coolest kind of thing to do, I don't know what else to call it, just like the coolest role to play within the story is in Wind Waker, because there's a whole section of the game that is you actually powering up the sword, because when you remove the sword, it has no power in it. It's just a regular sword, and so you have to restore the power to the sword to be able to kill Ganon. So,
but
so
then you had to give a fish a bunch of rupees, and it fucking sucked.
It did, yeah. That part of the game was a little stale. I went back and I played it again a couple years ago, and it's not as long as it seems the first time around, but that part definitely dragged. But the idea, there it is.
There it is.
And that's very similar to Ocarina of Time, where you find it in the pedestal in the Temple of Time. I got to be honest. I mean, I know that it's an iconic video game weapon. I was surprised how many lists had this at number 1. I was not expecting that. I was expecting more things like the Lancer, more things like the BFG.
And the beauty of the Master Sword also lies in its simplicity, right? It's just a beautifully designed sword. Even if it weren't the Master Sword, if you were watching just any fantasy series or you were reading a fantasy series and the Master Sword were described as what the main protagonist of the story carried, you would be into that. The design of the weapon itself really carries a lot of weight in how iconic it is. It's just so beautiful. It's the absolute pinnacle of less is more. It's just the sword, right? But then when you add and like I said, it was my number 2. When you add all the mythology that goes with it, when you add how important it is to Hyrule as a land, when you add everything that it can do, and then you just look at how absolutely gorgeous it is, there's just no escaping the fact that the Master Sword is iconic and just it's damn near perfection in a video game weapon.
But it's this idea, like you mentioned the power that it has, and I've mentioned the power, but for those who aren't really into the Zelda lore, it is the only weapon that can vanquish pure evil. So usually you use it in conjunction with light arrows. So you use light arrows to weaken Ganon, and then the killing blow is done by the Master.
In Skyward Sword, I'm pretty sure it turned him to stone, didn't it?
That was Wind Waker.
Wind Waker.
And
there we go.
It's actually fucking brutal because Link jumps up and like slashes right down into his skull, and like it's just Ganon left there with the sword right through his skull. And the very cartoony look of the game is kind of
it's cell shaded, and so like to add that element was amazing.
Yeah, it's like you said, beautifully designed sword. The only other sword that speaks to me in that way is the Atlantean sword from the Conan movies. I think it's a gorgeous sword, but there's so much like intricate steel work that goes into that. The hilt is so crazy. The Master Sword is not that. The Master Sword is very simple, and with the exception of the Triforce, which is in like a gold gilt in towards the base of the sword where it meets the hilt. It's very simple.
Yeah.
From Conan, my favorite sword is his cock. That's my favorite weapon. That's my favorite weapon from Conan.
Yes.
I didn't know he was banging this chick, Red Sonja. I didn't know he was banging her during the filming of that movie.
Oh yeah, I mean,
I'm not saying I'm surprised. I just didn't know.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you fucked.
At this point, I just assumed he was always banging everyone.
Everybody. Yeah, but he fucked
including his mate.
And she fucked the Terminator and Rocky. And Flavor Flav.
And Flavor Flav. There we go. Let's who's never forget.
So who's the one who's really the baller there? It's Brigitte Nielsen.
It's Brigitte Nielsen.
Legit. I was jealous of her. I was like, oh,
I'm totally jealous of her.
So I wish. Jeff, what do you got for your number 1, brother?
My number 1 are the apples from Chippendale Rescue Rangers.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's the Mark II Lancer assault rifle from Gears of War series. When we decided this mountain, that immediately was my number 1. This is my favorite weapon from a video game. Hands down, this is my favorite weapon. You give me an assault rifle and then you put a gas-powered chainsaw at the end of it. And the game itself, Gears of War, I remember before I kind of switched more over to PlayStation than Xbox, I had played the whole series. And just the satisfaction of you running up to one of the locusts and just that first time that you just slice in. It starts revving up. You see the gas coming out, or the smoke coming out, and then you just saw right through them. It's the most satisfying feeling I had in a game. I loved using it, like you said, Debona. Like you get a bunch of other guns, like it's not even anywhere near the most overpowered gun in the game.
Yeah,
You
no,
have, like a Hammer of Dawn.
The Hammer of Dawn, exactly.
Yeah. So, but it's such a fun gun to fucking use. And then I remember when they started doing the multiplayer, that you would literally, there would be points where you would be running at another player, and you guys would get locked into a melee combat sword fight with the chainsaws. And you'd have to tap the, you had to hit X as fast as you could. And then if you lost, guess what? You got sliced in half and you were out of that round.
Yeah, that's what I was saying when I had it at number 3. Like when I started Gears of War, like I had heard of the Lancer, right? Because I didn't get on Gears of War as soon as it came out, so I knew of the Lancer. But man, when I got my hands, the first time I chainsawed a locust, like I was just screaming like a little kid because it was just incredible. The fact that it activated like an entire animation to just show you sawing this locust in half. It's genuinely one of the most exciting things I've ever done playing a video game. Like that is as high as I've ever gotten. It's up there with a lot of things that have happened playing a video game for me.
And I love that they were able to, because obviously it's a Mark II. They don't have to explain it to you, but like the Mark I is what the Locust used, which is the original one was just a bayonet attached to the front of an assault rifle. That's what it was. And you can pick up that weapon at some points during the game, but then they were like, no, the Gears need something badder to deal with these guys, so they made those the Mark II Lancers, and it's. I just the look of that game, the feel. I couldn't think of another gun that would fit how that game was.
And that's the thing, right? Like so many of these things that we've looked at that we've ended up picking not only are great just in general, but they're so perfect for that game. And the Gears themselves are so big because they're giant. You got Coltrane, right?
Oh, man.
And he's a big dude wearing gear armor, so he's even bigger. So it's like, how do we not make everything look like a potato gun in their hands, right? And so that's what they did. They're like, oh, well, we got a gun, we got a chainsaw, we just fucking put them together. Then it's huge and it looks big on them. And that's the other thing about the Lancer. It's a massive piece of hardware. It looks big in the hands of a Gear, and Gears are giant guys wearing giant armor.
Yeah. Except for poor Carmine.
Oh, Carmine.
One of the things that I loved about this game is the fact that that it is not first person.
Yeah.
Because it is third person, but like over the shoulder, you get to really get a feel for the gun. Because to me, I only played the first one. But that first Gears of War, to me, it felt like the star of the game was the Lancer. I played that game just so that I can saw these fucking aliens in half.
Yeah, man.
And to fucking see them blow up when you fucking riddled them with bullets. So to be able to see the entire gun as you're doing this, but from such an intimate point of view, like I felt like Yoda in Luke's backpack. You know, like just I'm riding in Coltrane's backpack, you know, and there's the fucking Lancer. Like he'd point it that way. I'm like, oh, you're gonna do the thing now? That's fucking cool. Let me see you saw that guy, you know. So it was one of those things where I don't know if that's the reason or the primary reason why they did that, but fuck, it helped you get into the game more.
Yeah, man.
Where shooters oftentimes, like, it's really easy to say, okay, well, we're just going to make it first person. It's a really really easy way to immerse yourself in this world. It worked in its favor for you to be able to see the whole gun.
Yep. So that's my number one.
Debona?
I'm really excited to be the only person whose number one didn't get tabled earlier in the episode. My number one is the absolute pinnacle of elegance and simplicity. It is the very first weapon that you start all of these games with. It is symbolic of the entire franchise. It is my favorite video game weapon of all time, and it is the Hidden Blade from Assassin's Creed. The hidden blade from Assassin's Creed was something that I was so obsessed with. I was just absolutely fascinated by the fact that when you went to boss fights, when you're doing Assassin's Creed, bosses were still just normal people. They were just people that you had to put a lot of effort into getting to. Mm-hmm. They were people that you had to plan. There had to be an entire strategy about the assault itself, not just the actual boss fight. And every single one of them could come down to one strike from the hidden blade. The hidden blade was a symbol of the entire brotherhood. Mm-hmm. There was the finger that was missing because you had to be missing a finger to be able to use the hidden blade. That is how they knew that you were qualified to have it, that you had earned it. But it was amazing that no matter who you were playing against in that game, the hidden blade would drop them with one well-placed strike. That absolutely blew my mind because in essence, it was nothing but a spring-loaded knife. Yeah. And so the fact that to use it effectively and efficiently and through the course of the entire game, you had to be strategic. That's later on at Hidden Blades. That's there we go. That's the one I'm thinking of right there. The under the wrist Ezio and Altair Hidden Blade is what I think of more. When I'm thinking of the hidden blade, but it was just such an incredible idea. Here's this game where, I mean, there were a lot of games where you play as an assassin, you there were Hitman came before it, and you were an assassin, and there was strategy involved.
Almost with the fucking cable from Hitman.
The garrote wire from Hitman would be something very similar, but. It was so incredible to me. And it was something that was, like I said, it was the franchise. The hidden blade was the assassin's tool. They went on to add so many things. You were throwing bombs and shooting guns and firing cannons, and there were swords and daggers and all of this. But when it all came down to it, if you were good with that hidden blade, there's Altair. If you were good with that hidden blade, then you were good at Assassin's Creed. If you could kill everyone with the hidden blade and not be seen, then that was the game. I strove to only use the hidden blade as often as I could. And I just felt like when Assassin's Creed came out, I felt like I'd never seen anything like that. And it was such an easy idea to just have this knight that came out, got the kill, went away, and then you blend into the crowd. It was perfect. It was perfect for everything that the game was supposed to be about. And as the game series went on, it did start to become a little bit more about big fights and some stuff like that. But it always still came down to how good were you with the hidden blade? How well, even when you were in a big fight, the hidden blade could still be something that you could use in massive combos. And it never went away as something. You started the very first game with it. I haven't played Valhalla, but I know it is in Valhalla.
There's only one game that it wasn't in that they added it later in DLC, which was Odyssey. Okay. Odyssey, he did not have the hidden blade, but they released a DLC later.
Really?
That he did get it. Yeah.
I played Odyssey. Like actually,
I know you did. I lent it to you.
I know.
Yeah, like it made a mountain earlier.
You lent it to me for like 2 years.
Yeah.
I must have gotten it after they made it available and download because I remember having it in Odyssey. Really?
Let me double check, but I'm pretty sure that's the thing.
Trying to think if I actually used it in Odyssey because I'm not the biggest. I mean, Hidden Blade to me is like and I'm not shitting on your pick. I just on a person when I'm playing. That's what's cool about those games. You could go about it in different ways. You could, you know what I mean? There's no one straight shot. Even when you have the same mission, I could go around. I could come from the left or the right. And, but when it came to those games, I didn't use that weapon as often as when did it become available? Because
it says when the players start on with this edition of the series, it is evident that the most important and iconic component of the entire franchise is not in Odyssey. The weapon known as a hidden blade was not present in any of the gameplay. Let me see when it. I thought this said when it came back, but I know I read it somewhere today when I was looking at the list.
Interesting.
that they added it later in DLC.
Odyssey is my favorite. Odyssey is my favorite Assassin's Creed. I haven't played every single one of them. I didn't play Black Flag.
Black Flag was good. 3 was good with Connor. My favorite is the Ezio trilogy, which is all, technically 2. The trilogy that is Assassin's Creed 2.
Assassin's Creed 2 is fucking phenomenal. That was my favorite for a long time. And then part 3 was good with Connor with the American Revolution. That was cool. I didn't finish that one though. And then I played a couple of the ones in Europe. There was one in France. That
Syndicate.
Oh, there was the one. It was the one with the brother and sister.
Brother and sister. That one was okay. And
that was Syndicate. Syndicate was the brother and sister.
Eternity.
Liberation was the French one.
I forget. But
no, because the French one was the one that you could play 4 people at a time.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was called, but and it was super buggy. It was super buggy. Unity.
I remember because every time I saw it, I thought of the Chappelle bit. We're like Unity.
But like I said, just like I'm referenced with the Master Sword, right? Like elegance and simplicity. The hidden blade is as simple as it gets. They eventually, you could upgrade it in some games. There was the hook that you kind of had, and you could zip line and stuff with it. But just in just being a weapon that you feel like was almost primitive, you could use it and you could be surgical with it, and it was amazing. So I had a hidden blade was one that I knew was going to make my list, and until I started actually making my list, I didn't realize that it was going to creep up to number 1. But here we are. So my number 1, hidden blade from Assassin's Creed.
You should check out Odyssey. It is honestly, and the fact
Odyssey and Valhalla are the only ones I haven't played.
Valhalla I haven't finished playing because I was playing while I was on the ship and then came back from COVID, and then it's a whole thing to be playing that game. Actually, I started playing. I did buy that game when it came out during COVID, but to be playing that game around kids is not the best.
Especially if you play Odyssey and you climb up on the giant statues, you can climb on their PB and balls.
On their pork and beans.
I sent Neri a picture while I was playing the game of me hanging from the guys
just hanging on some balls,
just on the schlong. Just
Odyssey is so much fucking fun. And Odyssey came out the same year as God of War, and I remember thinking to myself, "Well, because I played God of War, I'm like, this is the best game I've ever played." And then I played Odyssey, I'm like, "Fuck, this is like a 1B type of situation." It's so much fun. But great pick, man. I can't talk shit about the hidden blade. My number 1 is gonna be the stick from Zelda Breath of the Wild. Just that stick that you can hit 1 or 2 people with, and then it breaks on you, and you're like, what?
Yo, I legit watched a speed run where they beat Ganon with the fucking stick. So
that's just crazy.
That's because it's a super weapon.
It was wild.
33
minutes.
That was
33 minutes.
It was a double barrel stick.
He beat Breath of the Wild in 33 minutes.
It was a stick that had a lot of sap in it, so like a lot of sap. No, my number 1 is the Blades of Chaos. That
so
was
fucking cool.
From part 2, I believe, part 3, maybe the poster for part 2 or part 3. But in-game action is phenomenal. Swinging those bitches around was just so much fucking fun. And then this picture is just, oh my god! I mean, the amount of times that I've thought about that. I love that game. My favorite franchise. It was so good that I played part 2 before I ever played part 1, and then I went back to play part 1 to find out what the fuck was happening. Story, the writing of that story is phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
They don't fucking miss. It's so good. I beat God of War, the latest one, with a lot of accomplishments. I didn't get a perfect game because there's a lot. There's a lot, but I got through a lot. I got through the Valkyries. I did a lot. So I love that fucking weapon. And again, to be playing that game and then not start off the game with that, you go, when the fuck? And then, spoiler alert, because it's a couple years old already, but to then be well versed in the Leviathan axe and be happy as fuck, and you're like, all right, this is the game, and then they spring it on you where you get the Blades of Chaos back. You go, what the fuck? It was a legitimate shock to me where I was like, get the fuck out. What? I get this? And I thought to myself, fuck, do I want to give? I thought I had to give that up to get the Leviathan axe. Like I had to give up the Leviathan axe to get the Blades of Chaos, and they were like, nah, bro,
switch out.
pick both. And I was like, I can pick both. How much do I owe you, bro? It's on us. And I'm like, no. I'll pay rubies to a fish. And then oh, you got it. You got it.
Do you want the stick I found?
It's phenomenal. So I love that fucking.
Wait, then this was my number 2. Wait, you want to go back to what Dave was talking about, the Master Sword, and Dabone was talking about the hidden blades, the story behind the Blades of Chaos.
Yes.
Forged by Ares in the underworld. Spoiler: the original game's how many years old? Kratos used those blades to kill his wife and kid without even realizing it. Like
under the influence,
right? Because Ares had given him that god rage or whatever.
Yeah.
But and then the idea of the blades, the fact that when Ares finds the worthy warrior, that the actual chains seared into his forearms, and it became a part of him. Those blades.
Yeah, he couldn't put it. He wasn't allowed to put it down. That was his pendants type of shit, where he was always attached. Imagine killing your wife and kid who you adored, and then you have to have that weapon attached to you at all times for the rest of your life. Like
and their ashes.
And their ashes, yeah.
And their ashes. Oh,
and
when you found out why.
Yes,
oh yeah.
Yes.
And then he has them taken away, and then I think it was Artemis gives him like a new version of them in one of the later games. But something I read, apparently in the novels,
there's
find
novels
out
for this shit.
Yeah.
Oh,
that apparently
I read books.
Yeah. Apparently, Kratos had been trying to get rid of the blades after the God of War 3, but it was one of those weird things where like they always came back to him. So like he threw them in the ocean, I think, in what they were saying in one of the things, and they reappeared to him. Like he couldn't get rid of the blades, so that's why he still had them. He just had them wrapped up and hidden in the latest God of War. Mm-hmm. But the fluidity, talking about just the gameplay with them, the fluidity of being able to go from the melee to then you're whipping them around like
and you use them to climb.
Oh yeah, when he grabs into them.
It's so fucking versatile, man. It's the F word of fucking of weapons, dude. It's so versatile. Look at this.
Look at this fucking
that guy. Fucks.
He has a Freddy.
He's got a Freddy claw back there.
He's got a Freddy claw.
He's got Han Solo's blaster.
Oh, this guy is fucking all the.
He's got some wood glue back there.
Save some pussy for the rest of us, bro.
Is that 3 rulers that he had?
With so many rulers, bro,
and a level. Look at that guy, bro.
Yeah.
With as fun as these things are to use in those first 3 games, and I kind of felt like, okay, well, they've kind of exhausted everything that they can do with these things. Even after the first one, I was like, okay, well, they've mastered the mechanics of this incredibly new and different kind of fighting system with it. The most fun I've ever had with the Blades of Chaos was in God of War 4.
Yeah.
Which actually, to me, like the only knock I have on this game, and I didn't want to mention this.
Wait, do you mean 5? Do you mean the newest version?
That's 4, isn't it? God of War.
That's 4, bro.
They have God of War 3, and then they have God of War Ascension, which came after 3. And then they had a new one on the PS4.
Was Ascension the handheld one?
Yeah, that was the PSP one. Yeah, I mean, I've never heard anyone refer to it as God of War 5.
I've never heard it called God of War 4. I just heard it called God of War, and then somebody says God of War the PlayStation one. I'm like, okay. The PS4 one. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay,
I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm just asking a question.
It is actually the 8th installment in the God of War series.
Yeah, but but that also includes the handheld versions and shit like that. Yeah.
So okay, God of War 2018. How about that?
There we go.
So my one knock against God of War 2018, and the thing is, there's no way to do this other than how they did it. So they did it as well as it could possibly be done. You can't bring in the Blades of Chaos too soon, because then, like, I never used the axe unless I had to after getting the Blades of Chaos. Because the Blades of Chaos were so fulfilling that I was like, yeah, I'm just going to use that axe when I need to. So when I came across an enemy that I needed to kill with ice damage, then I used that thing. But otherwise, it was Blades of Chaos all the fucking time. And
man.
that's to me when the game like started to play like God of War, like the storytelling, everything, the platforming, the puzzle solving. It was all very God of War, except for the combat. To me, the combat didn't feel like God of War until I got the Blades of Chaos. And then it was like, holy fuck, this is the best the Blades of Chaos have ever felt. But if they would have introduced them earlier, it's like introducing the T800 too early in Dark Fate. But you stop caring about the fucking story, then you just want to know.
It's like introducing blowjobs before you get a hickey. Like, I don't want this fucking hickey now. I got a blowjob. I don't want this fucking hickey for.
Yeah. JJ
You're
Abrams
sucking on the wrong place.
Yeah, you're on the wrong place. Like your friends showing up. Look at this hickey, bro. You're like, I got a blowjob. Why are you fucking bragging about a hickey? I don't understand. There's logic. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
JJ Abrams talked about that they kind of not about blowjobs
hickeys and blowjobs.
No, with the force with the force. You didn't let me finish.
I'm sorry.
Fucking you ducking asshole. He kind of asked a bunch of people about the story for Force Awakens, and that's why they introduced Luke Skywalker so late, because as soon as they introduced Luke Skywalker, people stopped caring about the new characters. Yeah. So I get it. I get why we had to have so much of the axe, because that was my one gripe against the game, is they introduced the Blades of Chaos, in my opinion, way too late. But then again, I wouldn't have used the axe that much if they hadn't.
I thought it was perfect, man. I went back and forth all the time between using the axe and like even when I didn't need to. I was like, this is just fucking fun. Calling it back was so much fun. It was great. There were times where big ass Colossus type monsters, and I would just use the axe and it would get it on the way back to get that hit on the way back. I didn't need to. It wasn't like it wasn't a fire monster or anything, but I don't know. I totally loved it. I thought it was, if anything, I thought it was, I wouldn't say too early or too late. I thought it was perfectly done, to be honest with you. I never thought, I thought it was so perfectly timed for me because I had gotten over my, oh man, I wish I had the Blades of Chaos. And then I had gotten over that. I'm like, oh, this is cool. This is the game that I got. And I'm fucking enjoying the fuck out of this game. And then when I got the Blades of Chaos back, I was like, oh my God. I was legitimately surprised.
Yeah,
so
I was too.
To me, that's not too late because it feels like that's when, if you got it back too early, it wouldn't have been a surprise. All right. So the number ones are Master Sword, MK Lancer Assault Rifle from Gears of War, the Hidden Blade from Assassin's Creed, and Blades of Chaos. So everything in our number ones has been repeated except for Hidden Blade.
So then put
Correct?
the Hidden Blade.
So we just tossed Hidden Blade in there. We got a top four.
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, if you guys, I don't know if you guys remember, we had this as a pick. But if you want to go with Hidden Blade, I mean, whatever. I mean,
Mr. Toots can be our crazy horse. All right.
Whatever. All right. So our number ones are the Final Mountain, Master Sword from Zelda, MK2 Lancer Assault Rifle from Gears of War, Hidden Blade from Assassin's Creed, and Blades of Chaos. I almost said Blades of Glory.
I heard you about to say Blades of Glory.
Anyways, does that look natural to you? And there's two hot dog buns, two hot dogs and one hot dog bun. I fucking love that movie.
So good.
So good. Does that look natural to you? There's two hot dogs in one hot dog bun. The cinematic, I mean, the fucking writing of that movie, God bless them. That's genius level shit. All right. So thank you guys for checking us out. Make sure you check out the other podcasts on the Geek Bro Network, including Better Let Me Tell You, Child Like at Best with Mike Valdez, A Dose of Ellie, and the What's Up Bro podcast. What's Up Bro podcast, just like we do, they record live, we record live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. So make sure you guys check us out, 8 p.m. Eastern. If you guys are online, check us out, comment, and we have a lot of fun on there. So make sure you guys check that out. Thank you for checking us out here. Appreciate that. Oh, let me put this title shit back up. If you're listening to the audio version, check out the video version, and you can see all the pictures that we were looking at when describing each of the weapons. Thank you very much for coming out. Go to geekbro.net, listen to all the podcasts, all the aforementioned podcasts that I listened to, that I mentioned, and check out the comedy on my comedy page, naryscience.com or whatwashisname.com. Get your I Love Unicorn t-shirts available. Thank you for checking us out. That's how lists are made.